welcome back to my channel. I got some pretty incredible book mail today and I thought that I would do my first book haul video ever. I want to make it clear though that I probably won't do a lot of these book haul videos. I don't do a ton of book hauls, especially not at this size, but recently Book Outlet had a great sale and their books are already so inexpensive. And October has been October 2020 has been October 2020. And I felt the need for a little, I'll just say it, retail therapy. So I purchased an inordinate amount of books. But I'm really excited to read them all, and there's not a single one that caused even the slightest little twinge of regret. The first book that I'm seeing on my stack is The Grammarians, and from what I understand, this is about two twin sisters that love language and have a knockdown fight to the death as adults over ownership of their family dictionary. And so I'm really excited to read this. It sounds strange and weird and wonderful. The next one on my list is Arabella of Mars. But this one appealed to me because it's very much story of British Empire and colonization, except that the main character has been born on and grows up on a colony in Mars and has to return to London, England, a place that she has never been before, which is a completely foreign land to her, foreign planet even. And there is, you know, war with Napoleon-esque figures going on, and it really appealed to me because it is a futuristic version of past history that I really enjoy reading about. So I'm excited to read this one. Next is Jane Unlimited, which from what I understand is about a girl named Jane who has to face the consequences of her choices, but she gets to make choices about the future of her life based on what happens in different rooms in a house that she visits. I think that's what this is about. I'm not exactly sure. After I read it, I may find that I am completely wrong in my understanding of what this book is about. But I have actually had this one, even though it is also a fantasy, I've actually had this one on my radar for a while because somebody a while ago, and I can't remember who, but somebody made a correlation between this and the story of Jane Eyre. Not that that sounded anything like Jane Eyre at all, and I realize that, but I am excited to read this and see what it actually is. So I'm intrigued. Also, I find that cover to be really fun. This book is called Indelicacy, and it is by Amina Kane. Basically, from what I understand, this is the story of a cleaning woman who works in a museum who decides that she would rather write than work as a cleaning lady, and so she makes a series of choices and plays a long game and ends up freeing herself from a life of drudgery and work and the consequences that come about from doing that. That's what I understand this book to be about. Again, I may be completely wrong. I bought it because A, the price was good, but B, that cover is just brilliant. It's so beautiful. I could just stare at it forever, and it's very odd of me to buy something just for the cover. So, well done to whoever designed that one. The next book, I really just don't know anything about, so I'm going to read it to you. This is Wicked Saints by Emily A. Duncan. Yes, it is another fantasy book. So it says, some stories are so beautiful, so brutal, that they claw at your heart and refuse to let go. That's what Wicked Saints is. It's about a girl, a prince, and a monster. So those are the three things that stand out to me. A girl, a prince, and a monster. The cover. There is something, oh, and I like that too. There's just something about, to be honest, I think I got it because of that line right there in the middle. Wicked Saints, let them fear her. There's just something about it that appealed to me. I don't know much about it at all. That's gonna creep me out on my bookshelf. But I'm excited to find out about it. I think I was really at the moment craving something new. So that's what you're seeing here. something new. So this is the only one that I pulled out of the box that I'm like, I wonder why I got that one. I don't feel regret. Because I do think it will still be intriguing, but it is a retelling. This is Bright Smoke, Cold Fire. It is a fantasy, and it is a retelling of Romeo and Juliet, which Romeo and Juliet is my #1 most detested Shakespeare play of all time, and someday I can give you a rundown of why I think that it is trash. So this is a retelling of a story that fundamentally I find to be irrevocably and unforgivably flawed. And so what did I do? I bought a retelling and fantasy of it so that I could read it. I don't know why. I wonder if I thought it was something else. But you know what? I'm going to read it. I'm going to read it, and I'm going to love it, I'm sure. And if I don't, I'll find someone who does, and I will gift it to them. Next is this one, Stealing Snow. I think this one is about a girl who's grown up in a mental asylum, who ends up escaping or being set free and returning to her own home, and having to deal with some magic and wizardry, and identity, trying to find out who she is truly, and to accept or reject who she is. It's the kind of YA novel that I tend to be drawn to. So no surprises here for me that I chose this one. And so I'm super excited to read this, to enjoy it. Glitter. And Glitter has been on my radar ever since it came out. This is a weird time-bending story where set in Versailles, but like in the town of Versailles and in Paris, everything is as we might see it if we were to visit today, but in the Palace of Versailles itself, everyone is dressed as if King Louis is on the throne and Marie Antoinette is there, even though she's not, I don't think. And there's a girl and she's desperate and she needs to make some money, and so she starts to sell this drug called glitter. And the repercussions of her involvement in that and her desire to crawl out of this desperate situation are told in the story. The ramifications of selling that drug and of distributing that drug and of purchasing that drug are delineated for us in this story, Glitter, which just marries two kind of interesting juxtaposed worlds into one. So super interested in this. So next I have two books that are so far outside of my normal buying habits that I am curious as to how I found them even. But I'm really excited to read both of them. Again, totally outside my reading habits. The first one is Wintertide by Ruth Hannah Imrie, I think. Ruth Hannah Imris. I don't know how to say her name. And I'm going to read the back for you. Actually, first I'm going to start with some of the reviews. One says, Sherry Priest says, this is a weird lyrical mystery, truly strange and compellingly grim. So maybe it's not completely outside of my comfort zone, but this is Wintertide, and the back says, after attacking Devil's Reef in 1928, the U.S. government rounded up the people of Innsmouth and took them to the desert, far from their ocean, their Deep One ancestors, and their sleeping god, Cthulhu. I probably butchered that. Only Afra and Caleb Marsh survive the camps, and they emerge without a past or a future. The government that stole Afra's life now needs her help. FBI agent Ron Spector believes that communist spies have stolen dangerous magical secrets from Miskatonic University, secrets that could turn the Cold War hot in an instant and hasten the end of the human race. Afra must return to the ruins of her home, gather the scraps of her stolen history, and assemble a new family to face the darkness of human nature. So there's so many things in here that really appeal to me. the Cold War, the time period, the idea of like the Native American aspect where they are forcibly removed, they lose their home, and they have to fight to retain their own culture. All of these things are extremely interesting to me. But that element of magical secrets and that fantasy element within the reality element, I don't think I can think of a book that I've ever read that does that. So I'm really excited to see how I feel about this alternate history kind of a book that also incorporates a magical fantasy world element into it. And I think this might be just the perfect introduction to that kind of genre mixing that I am unfamiliar with. The next one, now I know what this was, what the blurb was when I purchased this book, and I'm not sure it's the same blurb as the blurb that's on the back of the book. So I'm going to tell you what it says on the back of the book, and then I'm going to tell you why I purchased it, what I thought it was. So this book is Silver on the Road by Laura Ann Gilman, and it says, back east, they claim the so-called Devil's West is overrun by magic, magicians, excuse me, and monsters. But to Isabel, it's home. She grew up in a saloon, trained to serve drinks and fold laundry, to read those who come to the gambling tables, and to report back to her boss on what she sees, all the while being trained to become what he needs. But when she comes of age, she is given a choice to either accept her power or to go east. Now, the territory's left hand, Isabel takes to the road, accompanied by the secretive writer Gabriel, who will teach her about the territory, its people, and its laws. But she needs to learn quickly. The bones of the earth are cracking, and the hand, capital H, has work to do. So, when I read the blurb about this, what I remember it being about was a girl who has to choose whether or not to serve the devil. And so I can kind of read that into the back of what I see here on the blurb on the back, but it's very different also. So it may or may not be the book that I think it was. Either way, it sounds fascinating. It'll be interesting to read this one. I'm excited. I truly am excited. And I'm at that point right now where every book that I've shown you, I want to start it right now. I want to start all the books, and I want to start them right now. Okay, so the next one is this one. I have never heard of this book, but it is so exactly the kind of book that I would love to read. I'm very surprised that I haven't. This is Bellevue Square by Michael Redhill. This is a book about a woman who discovers that she has a doppelganger. The doppelganger likes to peruse, what does it say? It's so funny to me. I'm just gonna read it to you exactly from the back because it's hilarious. Apparently, her identical twin hangs out in Kensington Market, where she sometimes buys churros and drags an empty shopping cart down the street. That's what my doppelganger would be doing. Quite honestly, that's what I would like to be doing. My doppelganger can come and sit here, and I'll go to Kensington and drag a thing down the street and eat some churros. That sounds fun. But she goes to try and find. She travels to England to try to find this doppelganger who apparently exists. I'm so intrigued by this idea. I really, really want to know, how does she find out that she has a doppelganger? Does she find the doppelganger? When she does, what happens? I am fascinated by doppelganger stories, and if you know of any really great ones, please comment them down below, because I love, love, love the doppelganger concept. I'm not sure why I love it so much. Maybe I have one, maybe I am one, who knows? I love it. I will read anything that has a doppelganger concept in it. So, super excited about that. Then I got this one, which I have been meaning to read since, when did it win? 2013, and have never done so. How nice is that? I just realized it has the map on the inside. That's so sweet. Okay, so I've been meaning to read this ever since it won the Booker Prize, and I never have. I have never purchased it. I have never checked it out from the library. I have only moved it year by year from one TBR for the year to the next. So when I saw that it was less than $2, I scooped it up and thought, this is it. 2021 is my year. I'm gonna read this in that year. If you live under a rock and have absolutely no idea what this book is about, it is set during the gold rush in New Zealand. It's set in the 1880s, I think that is. That could be a little bit earlier. And just kind of tells a story. Yeah, the last sentence says it perfectly. It tells a story, a magnificent tale of love, lust, murder, and greed. It's a classic historical novel, and it's set in New Zealand and Australia, which is an area that I have become increasingly interested in reading about. How gorgeous is that? I love that. And it follows a time layout based on the zodiac, which I will also find fascinating. The next one I did listen to this earlier this year on audio, right when it came out. I had put it on hold as a pre-order at my library, and I was one of the first people to get to listen to it when that library purchased it and put it out for availability to us, to the patrons. So I did listen to this quite early on. I think it was February or March. And I only gave it 2 stars. I really didn't enjoy that listening experience. But I have found that certain bits of it have stuck with me, and I am curious to know if maybe this is the kind of book that I would rather read than listen to. Parts of it have stuck with me so strongly that it has prompted me to give it a true second go. This book was not under $2. I did make a conscious choice to purchase this book at a discounted price, obviously, but not at a totally discounted price, which to me tells me that I do think that this may end up being better on my second encounter, and definitely better as a read than a listen. I think it's a gorgeous cover. It really is a gorgeous cover, and I love it. I don't know what you call that, but I love it when pages are like that. What's that called? Somebody tell me. So Janice Hadlow, I'm giving you a second chance because I think your writing is phenomenal. And I think I missed how phenomenal I was thinking it was because I was listening. So I'm giving that a second chance. The next book is a book that I purchased for the upcoming Gilmore Girls readathon, and I did mention it in that in my TBR for November, but it has arrived, so I'm just gonna go ahead and show it. That's If on a Winter's Night a Traveler, and so I will be reading this one this month, and I'm really excited about that and excited that it arrived. I know nothing about this book other than it is written by an Italian, and that it is about going to a bookstore to return a book and receiving a new copy of that book and realizing that it's a completely different story. Other than that, I don't know anything about it. So I'm excited to read this. I'm intrigued, and I love this cover actually, and it's the perfect weight, and it feels really like smooth and silky in my hand. It's a good book. It's a good book. No matter what the contents are, it's a good book. And the last book that I ordered is a nonfiction. It is called Wild Mercy, Living the Fierce and Tender Wisdom of the Women Mystics, about different women, let's see, what does it say here? From saints and sages, such as Mother Mary and the Sufi poet Rabia, to the goddess and archetypal energies, such as Gaia. It's just kind of a history and a pulling together of feminist mystic thought. Haul all these billions of books. I promise you will not see very many of these, so hope you enjoyed it. If there are any doppelganger stories that you know, please comment below. I'm serious. I want to read those doppelganger stories. And if you have read any of these and you think that there's one that I absolutely must read in December, let me know and I will add it, and I will do a read and review specifically of that book if I get enough feedback, okay? Have a great weekend, and I will see you all when I see you all. Oh, don't forget to like and subscribe. Please subscribe. Please, 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 please subscribe. I don't beg for things, and I'm begging you, right there, I'm begging you right now, subscribe. Thank you. Really glad to,